Welcome back to The Explainer. So let's jump right into this, because this is a topic I know every single one of us can completely relate to. I mean, imagine setting these incredible, really ambitious goals for your career, your health, or your personal life. You've got the vision, you've got the drive, but then you end the day just feeling utterly exhausted and completely busy without actually making any real progress toward the things you care about most.
And that brings us to the core idea today. Stephen R. Covey really nailed it when he said the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. It totally flips how we usually think about managing our day. Because having a grand vision, it simply isn't enough if our daily actions don't reflect it. A dream without action is, well, it's just a dream.
So I've got to ask, does that sound familiar? Because I'll be honest, I've absolutely been there. Let's be real. So many of us spend our entire days in this reactive frenzy, right? Answering emails the exact second they ding, sitting through back-to-back meetings that definitely should have been emails, scrolling on our phones, and constantly putting out urgent fires for other people. By the time evening rolls around, we're just completely drained. And those things that truly matter to us, they just sit there entirely untouched.
Let's get into Section 1, the productivity illusion. Busy versus productive. To see the stark difference between just being busy and actually being productive, let's do a really quick mental exercise. Imagine person A and person B. Person A is always reacting. They're replying to every notification instantly, accepting every single meeting invite, constantly multitasking, and they feel wildly busy all day long. Then you have person B. Now, person B takes a moment to plan the day in advance. They focus on the most important tasks first, and they actually say no to distractions. So, who do you think achieves more meaningful results? Right, it's person B. Being productive isn't about doing more things, it's about doing the right things.
Moving right along to Section 2, the time management matrix, which is Covey's famous concept.
To help us become that productive person, Covey came up with this brilliantly simple framework that literally acts as a map for your daily choices. He takes all of our daily activities and divides them into 4 distinct categories, or quadrants. It's built on 2 things. Is it urgent or not urgent? And is it important or not important? Literally every single thing you do today fits perfectly into one of these 4 boxes.
Let's break them down, starting top left with Quadrant 1, urgent and important. These are your fires: medical emergencies, a critical work deadline staring you in the face, a sudden family crisis. Now, obviously, these require your immediate attention. You can't just ignore them. But here's the crucial point. If you spend your entire life living in this reactive state, constantly putting out fires, it is a one-way ticket to complete burnout.
So we pivot hard to Quadrant 2, not urgent, but important. Pay super close attention here, because this is the absolute secret sauce to long-term effectiveness, personal growth, and just reducing your overall stress. This is the space where highly effective people intentionally choose to spend the vast majority of their time, and that's how they reap those massive long-term benefits. Let's look at exactly what lives in this magic quadrant. We're talking about things like planning ahead, learning new skills, getting your regular exercise in, reading, building meaningful relationships, and working on those big, long-term projects. Notice something about all of these? Not a single one of them is screaming for your immediate attention. Your gym bag isn't sending you an urgent push notification. But these are the exact actions that literally shape your future.
And then we have the traps. Quadrants 3 and 4, the whole bottom half of the matrix. Quadrant 3 tasks are urgent but not important. Think unnecessary meetings or somebody else's minor emergency, those constant interruptions. They feel productive, but they really aren't. And Quadrant 4? Neither urgent nor important. That endless social media scrolling, the mindless internet browsing. Look, everyone needs a little rest and entertainment for sure, but this is where way too many of us lose our precious days, and ultimately our potential.
All right, Section 3, focusing on Quadrant 2 and how to really invest in your future.
So, how do we actually make this fundamental mindset shift? Just remember this: planning today prevents problems tomorrow. When you invest proactively in your health, your knowledge, and your relationships, when you sit down and do that Quadrant 2 work, you actually reduce the number of those urgent, hair-on-fire Quadrant 1 crises you'll inevitably face later. I mean, if you invest in your health today, you might prevent a medical emergency tomorrow. Proactive effort totally shrinks reactive chaos.
Which brings us to Section 4, the power of saying no and protecting your time.
To actually spend your time in Quadrant 2, we have to master what's probably the hardest skill of all. Let's dig into the psychology of this for a second. Why is it so incredibly hard to just say no? We usually agree to things because of a few very common, super relatable emotional hurdles. We have this deep fear of disappointing others. We're terrified of missing out on potential opportunities, or we just feel plain guilty. It's totally human nature to want to be helpful and accommodating to everyone around us.
But you really have to remember this powerful realization. Every single time you say yes to something unimportant, you are actively saying no to something that truly matters. Highly effective people just do not let other people's demands control their day. They realize that protecting their priorities means they have to confidently say no to the distractions.
And now, Section 5, planning your week, not just your day.
So, how do we move this from just theory into actual execution? Covey recommends shifting away from those reactive daily to-do lists, which honestly just keep you stuck in quadrants 1 and 3, and moving to intentional weekly planning. Let's ground this with a really relatable example of intentions versus action. Imagine your goal is to get healthy. The intention is buying all the fancy fitness gear and reading the nutrition books, but when evening comes, you're tired, so you just choose watching TV over exercising. Your actions just aren't matching your goals. Now look at action. You schedule a totally non-negotiable 30-minute morning workout before you even check your phone. Consistency completely beats intensity. A small change, scheduled and repeated, leads to massive, lasting results.
Let's get extremely practical here. Here are 5 clear, actionable steps you can apply right now before your next week even begins to immediately start reclaiming your time. Step 1, write down your 3 most important goals for the week. Step 2, identify just one quadrant 2 activity, like reading or exercising, that you have been actively avoiding. Step 3, actually schedule it. Put it right there on the calendar. Step 4, eliminate one unnecessary distraction. Delete the app, decline the meeting, whatever it is. And step 5, at the end, review your week. Ask yourself, did I actually spend time on what truly matters? As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a quick summary of our core takeaway. The question isn't whether you're busy. The real question is, are you busy doing the right things? Success doesn't come from just knowing where you want to go. It comes from the daily choices that actively move you toward that destination. Once your priorities finally match your values, progress isn't just possible, it honestly becomes inevitable.
I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. If someone completely objective looked at your calendar from the past week, would it actually reflect your true priorities or just a list of your obligations to other people? Take a really hard look at your schedule this week and see where you can make a shift. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer, and I hope this helps you start putting first things first.